We spend our whole lives trying to win on the mainland, chasing the status, the credentials, the next milestone. And somewhere along the way, we realize we're exhausted by all the background noise. So what happens when you change the landscape? Welcome to Off The Mainland. We talking all things lifestyle, business, through the people who left home to build something honest. In this series, we look at the exact moment high achievers lay their armor down, step into the diaspora, and finally get permission to soften. It starts with the environment that shapes who you are, because places shape people. Let's get into it. The environments that shaped how I see myself has been my home. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and my environment there was surrounded by a lot of family. I would say that shaped my environment, and going to, I would say, Morehouse College for that part of my life of adulthood helped me shape it. So growing up in South Central, I explain it like this. On a Sunday, Sundays was like a big time for our family where we would go to church in the morning with my grandmother. And then after we go to church, we go to KFC. That was Sunday dinner. We would get our chicken and we get the coleslaw, the only coleslaw I ever liked. And it was music. Tupac playing, some type of R&B, because this was the 90s. My grandmother had 7 children. At one point, we all lived in one house together, I feel like. And I remember it was like 16 people in this like 2-bedroom house. I thought, as being the youngest out of 32 grandchildren, I thought it was cool most of the time until I talked to my older sister and she was like, maybe for you, but as a 16-year-old teenager, that was not cool, right? I didn't know how important family was until I got away from family. So I chose Morehouse College specifically. I saw Drumline 356 times. The South became this place that was like a mecca for me. And I wanted to be a part of that. Not the band, but just being in an environment where you saw Black excellence. I remember it was freshman year and we were what we called new student orientation. And I had a black suit. I bought 2 suits for $100 and I took those to Atlanta with me, some of my first suits. I was in new student orientation. They lined everybody up in these 2 lines going into the door of the Martin Luther King Auditorium. And I realized I forgot to put on my black socks. When we sat down, lo and behold, we're sitting in the front row dead center. And when I sit down, the white socks start showing. The part why this was so concerning at the time is because when we were in line waiting to go into the auditorium, some of the upperclassmen got on the guy like, you got white socks? I can't believe you got on white socks. Who taught you this? And well, we gonna teach you today. And I was so embarrassed. So what I ended up doing is taking my shoes off and folding my socks all the way down in these dress shoes so you could not see it. So it was, and then this guy comes up to me, he's like, bro, you ain't got no socks on? Because this is 2005. This is before it was cool to be no socks, right? Loafer style. It wasn't that. This was supposed to be professional. And I was like, nope, this is how we do in LA. Not how we do, but I got away with it. So that's when I realized the environment was going to help me. People were there to support me and not just badger me where, like it was stressful growing up in South Central. Like, you never knew if someone was really trying to help you or if they was really looking to take advantage of you. And that helped me identify, be able to read people and read the room. And that's when I think I really put 2 and 2 together that, man, growing up in that environment back home in LA and now being in the South where people are overly, I think not overly, but they're really very nice and hospitable is what they say, of Southern hospitality. And funny enough, I remember Ludacris, Southern Hospitality, that was the album that was like the hottest thing at that time. The thing with that, right, at Morehouse, there was when I realized what I wanted to do with my life, right? I wanted to work, I always wanted to help people. And so what that looked like for me at Morehouse was I was studying kinesiology, which is the study of human movement. And I had this job at the Shepherd Center, and that was I was doing locomotor training is what they call it. And locomotor training is when you're physically taking someone's legs who've been paralyzed but not completely, and you're moving them on a actual treadmill and with the assisted harness. So it takes one person on the left leg, one person on the right leg, someone back to stabilize the hips, and then you have the person on the computer that's managing the actual the machine and the treadmill. And that was in a place where I realized that my environment gave me, I can really do anything. Like my ability, like I literally came from LA, did not have an acceptance letter to Morehouse, drove across country with the car full of stuff with my brothers and cousins. And I got dropped off in a city 3,000 miles away where I didn't have an acceptance letter. I just was told with promises that I would be accepted and that we would get funding. And that was the moment I realized that I really am achieving what I said I was going to do, which was I wanted to help people specifically when it comes to movement because I've been an athlete all my life. So I think that moment working at Shepherd Center was really an environment that I noticed that I could be in a space that was where I could be what I want to be, not just as a Black man, but career wise as well. I remember sitting in California. I was on the porch every morning. I would get up, have my coffee, write in my gratitude journal, and I would do my workouts. And I remember the moment where I realized that I was no longer welcome in California. It was just a lot happening with the pandemic. And I said, you know what? If I get the opportunity to move or go anywhere, this is going to be the opportunity. In February, I decided that I was going to go ahead and make the move to Puerto Rico. Coming to Puerto Rico was a last minute liberation movement for me. And it was something that I decided that it was, if I am going to be about helping people, I got to help myself. And Puerto Rico gave me the opportunity to help myself. The lifestyle, the nomad, the island life, what my father, my grandmother, my aunts left from Jamaica, they gave that up for a better life in the mainland US. And now I have an opportunity to return to the Caribbean, to where my father was born and was raised for his early years of his life. So Puerto Rico was the natural bridge back to the Caribbean to get into this environment of island life. And so I took it. And Puerto Rico has been an amazing experience because when I got here from day one, the power went out. I remember hearing an explosion and power was out. And I remember how the community came together. I actually came to a co-working space and was able to charge up. Everybody was helpful. It was just environment. And I feel like I was missing that back home in California where everyone is separate, busy, 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 don't really have time. So Puerto Rico has been a liberating feeling for me. It's part of my liberation. The difference is that like I'm genuinely myself here, meaning I don't really do a lot of code switching in how I talk to different people. Being from Los Angeles and the neighborhoods that I grew up in, it was very looking over your shoulder. And here, I've been able to see the room. I can feel and have the intuition of the environments before I even get in there. So I know how to maneuver and act. And that's where it's different here. I think people are generally looking to be nice. People are genuinely looking to be helpful, especially if you approach with that type of energy. And so, you know, the environment here has been really good for me, I would say overall. So I love hiking. I remember us trying to find a place where we can hike, and we were driving and driving until we got to this peak. And this peak, it said El Toro Hiking Trail. And when we looked on the map, it was apparently the highest peak in El Yunque. And so this is one of the, like a 2 hour, like it's a tough one. And we did not prepare for this. And we go on this trail, I remember my friend Omar, he had these like creative boots on, and he's had it for like a decade plus, and we're going into the mud, a boot comes off. And I'm like, yo, you left your boot. And then he's like, oh man, forget it. I'm gonna just take the boots off. And he takes the boots off and start hiking this trail barefoot. Now, the thing is that I had those water sandal shoes that you're supposed to wear, that you wear for like slippery rocks. I tied them as best I could. I'm barefoot. So we're just deep in mud. Rain is happening. It's just crazy. And then we get up to this one point and we look to our left and we're like, yo, we gotta take a picture. So we're taking a picture and we're thinking like we made it to the top. And then all of a sudden the guy say, hey, you guys stopping here? I'm like, what? And it's one of my buddies that I know from the real estate crew, my real estate crew. And so he goes, yo, what are you doing here? I'm like, hey man, we just hiking. And so we randomly is like everywhere I go in Puerto Rico, I run into somebody at some point in the most random places. And then we finally, all three of us hike. We hike it pretty much barefooted. And we get all the way to the top and we see the most beautiful view of the water, the forest. And I remember doing my signature pose where I'm just, my arms is out, my chest is to the sun. And I just remember, this is how you liberate yourself. You have to go through the mud. You have to go through the process, and you have to be willing to not give up. And that was another moment where I realized that I needed to be in a rich environment like the rainforest to experience liberation. Well, I'm building legacy. And so that's the exciting part. Legacy for me is the environment that I'm in, the people that are going to be in the environment, the intention. And so all my thoughts and things that I've been really accumulating over this time has been, what am I leaving and what am I building and where am I going moving forward? So I'm excited to learn more about the culture here in Puerto Rico, the different sides of the island, all the municipalities. I am looking forward to seeing my sons grow. They are experiencing things and getting older. So for me, it's all about the immersive experience. It's all about access to things that I think I wish I had when I was younger, and access to things that I want now. So it's about being present and and sharing that presence with people. So that's what I'm super excited about. That's where we're going. And that's why I'm glad to be off the mainland.
If anything in this hit you, it's because some part of you already knows what I'm talking about. The pool. The question of where you actually belong. You don't have to figure it all out tonight, but you need a starting point. Because as we always say here, places shape people. To help you find your place, I built something called Off the Mainland Clarity Map. It's a short archetype quiz. 9 questions, 10 minutes. It tells you exactly where you are on the journey of leaving the mainland. Whether you're an heir, an architect, a strategist, or a builder, once you know which one you are, the next step gets clearer. Link in the description. Take the quiz. Find your archetype. Next episode, I sit down with Jaleesa. Her story comes from a different door than mine, and what she had to leave behind to get here is going to stay with you. This is Off the Mainland, talking all things lifestyle and business. I'll see you on the next one.